Genial, pues pasamos a la última parte de las charlas y le doy el paso a mi tocayo Juan.
Gracias, Juan. Thank you, Juan. Good late afternoon, evening, everyone. For those who don't know, that was Telefónica's Emun. So I'm told that people used to sing this in Barcelona back in the day. But anyway, so let's focus on today. It's 2025, and we're still not pair programming. And I wasn't until last month, neither. So let's see what this is all about. But first, a few words about me. So I'm Juan Agüi Martin. My pronouns are he, him. I worked in Telefónica R&D from 2012 and 2017, worked with Juan, Shaike, Gustavo, and many other people in this room. So yeah, very honored to be here with you guys. And this is important. I'm a senior consultant in TID-x since February 2025. To be more specific, 2 months, 1 day. And this is a very relevant fact, as we'll see in a couple of minutes. So now we know who's giving the talk. Let's see what this is about. And so first of all, this is a journal of a practitioner. As I said before, I joined TID-x like 2 months ago, and I started pair programming a month ago, basically. So this is something very personal. This is something about the person that discovering a new technique, that someone that's really excited about it. And, you know, like these girls, they're showing something very new inside, and so excited. So it's important that also to be a little bit nuanced. So I try to be a little bit nuanced about what I found during this month. So, of course, I was expecting there would be a few Simpson things today, especially with the presentation about the old man, Jelena Cloud. I think I actually saw once, never mind. There was one presentation in TID about Splunk, and it started with the same picture, the old man, Jelena Cloud. Anyway, so it's a journal of practitioners. So it's non-prescriptive, it's non-authoritative, and if I do my job, you will end up with at the end of this session with more questions than certainties, and I'll be happy if that's what happened during the presentation. So 1 month, I come to this room and I'm going to tell you about pair programming. Dude, you're serious? Well, I'm serious because I'm studying the souls of giants. So I'm basing most of the non-personal stuff on the article that Nina Ziseguer and Brigitta Buchler wrote for TID-x. So if you go to the Martin Fowler website, you will see this very, very long article. It's almost an essay about pair programming. So I really recommend you read this article because there's so much information there, and it's really cool, top-notch stuff. So a bit of history. So actually, Shaike, you weren't spot on. So pair programming didn't start 25 years ago. It actually started in the late 40s, early 50s. So this woman here is June Bartek. She's one of the computers in the 50s working for the US government. And this is what she's saying in a sort of recent interview, and you can find the link in the article I mentioned before. She says that she and Betty Snyder is here working with the ENIAC computer, and she says that from the get-go, they were working as a pair. And she says that she believes the best programs are designed by pairs, because you can criticize each other, find each other's errors, and use the best ideas. So this is a theme that's going to be repeating across the presentation. So that was Jim Bartik. Let's jump ahead 50 years to the future. So Shaike, you're right. 2000, we got the Stream book, the Stream programming book explained by Ken Beck. And he says, please write all your production code with 2 people sitting at one machine. Okay. It's a little bit forward, and we're in 2018. And this is the last Stack Overflow survey I could find with information about pair programming. And apparently, almost 30% of the people in the interview, they're saying they're using pair programming. And for me, this comes as a shock. because in all my experience as a coder, more than 20 years, I never ever pair programmed before until I joined ThoughtWorks. Definitely, this is something I didn't see in action in Telefonica R&D. So these figures kind of surprise. So maybe it's something that's special about Spain. I don't know. So 2025, we're here, TID-x, and actually we saw people pair programming. Okay, so Shaki, he was doing the stuff. Gustavo, he was the navigator. Shaki was the driver. Gustavo was so kind to point out that was the error with the test. Okay, so the tests were passing. Shaki was like super focused, but fortunately we have Gustavo, who was kind enough to wait for a while and then, using a very non-violent language, communicate to Shaki that he had a problem with the test. So actually, we're seeing programming in action here. But there's a question for you, for everyone in this room. So many people said that they were still coding. Probably many of you are managers of coders, or anyway. So in your organization or in your day-to-day work, do you pair program? So please raise your hand if you do. Okay, there you go. So thank you. That was my expectation. So in fact, we're in 2024. Fine. More on that subject in a few slides. I knew that would come up as well. All right, so apparently nobody's pair programming. So let me give you a bit of context, okay? Why I'm here trying to be an advocate of pair programming. So I work in ThoughtWorks. In ThoughtWorks, we have these sensible defaults. These are not, we have sensible defaults for pretty much every discipline involved in software development. So not just coding, but security, infrastructure, etc. And we have this book, which is the Sensible Defaults Playbook. It's not a best practices book. It's actually the very bare minimum we bring to each team. So in the case of software development, our sensible defaults are TDD, working pairs, continuous automation, continuous integration, and so on and so forth. But I think that those two first pillars of our sensible defaults are really, really interesting. So here talking about the second one. And we do this because we believe that pair programming provides extremely fast feedback on code and design. So there's been a lot of talk about feedback during this session. So feedback in testing, you mentioned that before. Feedback in automation, that's been also part of the discussion today. So this is extremely fast feedback, spot-on feedback on code and design. This is an extremely powerful tool. We also believe that it reduces rework and brings clean code and simple code, which is a value in itself. Again, we keep developing in pairs. We are a consulting company, so people come and go from teams to teams. I think that was mentioned before as well. And so teams that pair regularly actually are more repeatable. So they show a better cadence and more repeatable cadence sprint after sprint. And they're more resilient to change and constant and people moving between teams. And last but not least, I think it's really important. Okay, let's go back. We prioritize team efficiency and flow. I'll give you some samples later. And we improve collective code ownership, and we definitely reduce work in progress. Again, more samples about that. Okay, so this looks good, I think. So I don't know, sounds good. So I'm sold, right? So we're talking about developing in pairs, right? It's just two people sitting on a computer. So that's simple, right? So let's do it. Why not? And of course, it's not as simple as that. Okay, it's not just two people sitting on a single computer. It's kind of a framework on where we do a series of activities. And they all revolve around a very important concept, which is communication. So working in pairs, it requires constant communication between the pair. And there's a lot of these 4 activities that we repeat in cycles. So we plan, then we discuss, then we code, we clarify, and they go over and over again in this cycle. and always revolving around communication. So keep this in mind. We'll discuss this a little bit later down the road. So I said I was going to, when I sent the presentation, I said I was going to talk about techniques, but I'm just going to talk about one technique, okay? But a friend of mine, someone recommended this book years ago. Is there? Okay, thank you so much. And this is a really interesting book by Barbara Oakley. So this woman, she had problems in school with algebra, and then somehow she kind of decoded how learning works, and she went on a very successful career in technology. But she's also writing these very interesting books about learning. So this is a really interesting one, which is Mindful Numbers, and talks about how we learn to do things and how we process information in our brains. So there's like two modes she describes, which is the focus mode and the diffuse mode. So focus mode is essentially what we're doing when we're consciously focusing on a task, actively concentrating on a task. And the diffuse mode is activated when we're relaxing, when we are not focusing on anything particular. It's like when we get these aha moments, these flashes of insights. This is the moment when you sit down, relax, and you can actually grasp the big picture. And we working with the background processing of the problems. Okay, so diffuse mode is something that happens while you're sleeping. So if you go into focus mode before you sleep, and then you leave your brain to work in diffuse mode, you wake up in the morning and you're gonna have these aha moments in the shower, right? This has happened to all of us. Okay, that's not the dream, right? Okay. Okay, okay, all right. Two, all right. Okay, very quickly. So, anyway, so this is for a particular person. So, can I have both? Because they don't happen at the same time. So, can I have both? Can I have the cake and eat it too? Okay, it turns out you can, all right? Just, you have to bring two people into a table. One working in focus mode, and another one working in diffuse mode. So these are Fabricia Pons and Mr. Mouton. If you don't know these fine women, so they were World Rally Car drivers, and they achieved their first World Rally Car victory in 1989 in San Remo. So this is the technique I'm going to talk about. It's a driver navigator. So if you remember, most of you would remember Carlos Sainz and the other guy. Okay. So one's the driver and the other one's the navigator. So what are the roads? So the driver, eyes on the road, okay? So she is in focus mode. She's very tactical, and she's thinking about the details, okay? She can start thinking about what she's going to do over the weekend because she's going to crash the car, all right? So she's focused on the lives of God at hand. On the other hand, we have the navigator, okay? So eyes on the map, diffuse mode, strategic, and sort of in an observing role and having the big picture in mind, okay? Now, if she focuses on the road, then she's not going to give proper advice, okay? So she has to be focusing on the map and not on the road. So keep that in mind when we talk about more of the techniques. All right, so like I said, non-authoritative and just a journal of what has happened to me. So I'm leaving out many things like ping pong, strong style pairing, and research and explore. These are very interesting techniques that serve different purposes. And of course, I'm not touching things like daily plan rotation, many of the things that you need to do to organize proper pair programming. Okay, so now let's get into the first-hand experience trademark things. So these are the things that have happened to me over the past month pairing in navigator driver mode, and things that we tried, that it worked, and if you give it a shot, maybe you should try too. So time management, first of all. So let's say that Juan and the other Juan are pairing, okay? So time management is really important. I think that some people here are very fan of Pomodoros. I remember Gustavo with Pomodoro doing this Pomodoro thing a few years ago. So yeah, you have to time box things. You have to switch roles between the driver and navigator. Okay, so you have to time box things some way. It's really important that you keep some external tools to do this, not just rely on taking a look at the watch. So we're using this thing, this mob time. There's plenty of fun timers for mobs or for pairing, but we're using this one because they have this classic weird playlist. So you're coding, and when it finishes, instead of ringing a bell or something like that, it comes with some very weird classic sound. It can be, I don't know, it could be even Trump. And it's very nice because at the end of the day, the navigator is very focused on navigating, the driver in driving. This thing sounds like all. It's always the same. It never grows old. It's a Pomodoro thing, it's a Pomodoro technique. So you have to pause, okay? Just give it 2 rounds, changing driver and navigator roles, and then please take a rest. Otherwise, you're gonna end up drained. Another interesting technique is a check-in, check-out. And this is actually very interesting for long meetings. So it's nothing related to pair programming, but it's something you can also try. So if I'm going to this very long meeting, I'm asking the team to check in, how they're feeling, because maybe they have some problems in mind or they had a bad night. So it gives me some hints on how to approach the problem, and maybe I can leave some things for later, for a different moment, and so on and so forth. So that's for check-in, setting expectations. Of course, check out after a long day of pairing. Just do a check out, just see how things went. Get instant feedback. Plan for next session because we couldn't finish this, or well, we should do this, doing this other thing. And then you're all getting into focus mode. You know what you plan for next session, and you will go into diffuse mode. And maybe that's what you're going to have always these aha insight moments. And of course, celebrate. So if it was a successful pairing session, you achieve, just celebrate. But please do it. Celebrate, yay, and dance, and show that you're so happy that, again, you said, like they won the first World iCard Championship not championship, but victory in San Remo in '81. Okay, so you're going to be with one person, spending a lot of time during the day. So maybe you could use this time to build rapport. Okay, so I love this code. We've been working a lot over the past month in setting infrastructure. So infrastructure that we have to build ourselves with GitHub, and more stuff, and AWS, and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, we spent a lot of time waiting for some pipelines to complete, etc. So it was a great time to know each other, build rapport, and try to be get your. I think I have the term the personal best. So because you're spending, yeah. So you're spending a lot of time with someone, so it's better to be nice, gentle, charming, fun, etc. Right? Or not? Maybe not, because we're not all the same. Okay. So keep it in mind, being in conversation with each other during the whole day, it's pretty draining, and we're not called all the same way. So it's more of introvert kind of people. Okay, so you need to have to keep that in mind. And I wanted to add more things about maybe dyslexia and stuff like that, but I didn't have the time. But again, just keep in mind that when you're pairing, people are different, and they have different skills and ways of being, and so on and so forth. So yeah, split up for learning. So we need to do stuff, not just learning, but emails, meetings, and so on. So you split up for learning because you can't spend 8 hours a day pairing. I would say that 5 hours, it's kind of, when you go above 5 hours, it has to feel like pre-training. But anyway, find your balance and find where you are. So now, very quickly, things to avoid. First, we managed to avoid. So drifting apart, we do remote pairing, so it's very easy to start checking your phone, to start checking your Insta, TikTok, whatever. Or it's really easy to start coding and not saying a word and not giving information to the navigator. So I think we managed to stay away from that. We are very focused and very diligent in what we're doing. We'll see. Let's see how this goes down the line. But yeah, stay present. Don't micromanage. Okay, don't be the boss. If you are the navigator, don't spend all your time telling the driver what she or he has to do. Okay, so yeah, I think we were really good at this. Yep. Okay, next one, please. Patience. Don't be impatient. Keep the 5-second rule. That's for long, right? Okay, so take some time when someone makes a typo. Just don't jump onto his throat, and tell him how to fix things. So just give them time to realize what they're doing, because otherwise, if you keep interrupting, you're going to break the flow. Okay, and again, back again. Allow time to investigate. So if you're working both in something that you really don't not familiar with, just give us some time. Don't be impatient. Give you like, I don't know, a few hours. Try something and then come back later. So benefits. Let's get back to what I said in the first place. So planning. What benefit is planning giving us? Focus. Okay, so we're sitting two people together, and first thing we do is plan what we're going to do for the next 2 hours. Okay, so they give us a lot of focus, and we don't digress and don't get lost what we're doing. Second, planning gives us a way to limit work in progress. So we actually sit down and say, what is we going to do? Maybe we could do this target. We could pause this ticket and start a new one. But since we're both talking and we're planning, we realize that that doesn't make sense. Let's finish what we're doing and limit work in progress. So I've seen a lot of good, a lot of impact in these areas. Now, discuss. You bring in two people with potentially different skill sets, experiences, ages, and so on and so forth. So discussing, I'm seeing that it's bringing better solutions for sure. Remember what Betty was saying in the first place. It also helps to avoid low-hanging fruits. If it's just one developer working on something, he will probably choose the low-hanging fruit and decide that maybe someone's going to realize in a later pull request that somebody's missing, and we'll fix it or we'll let them know. With just two people looking at software, we don't compromise, we don't go for low-hanging fruits, and we try to strive for the better solution. Discussing requires trust and requires vulnerability. This is important. So not everyone is willing to assume or show that they don't know everything, that they're not right about everything, and they're not like super coders. So I know there's a lot of terrific, super experienced people in the room. If you want to pair with something, you have to show some kind of vulnerability. You have to accept that maybe you don't know everything, because otherwise there's no way you're going to discuss anything. And I think it's really important that people that are in, say, privileged positions, so I'm talking about seasoned, white, male developers, show some vulnerability first, especially if they're tech leads. So you're going to try this with your team, and your tech lead or your senior position, show some vulnerability. That will allow other people to feel the trust to show themselves vulnerable as well. Okay, so code, I think that's pretty much we'll be familiar with this. So we refactor on the go. We do code reviews on the go. We have earlier error detection, so pretty much nothing goes unnoticed. And we have collective code ownership. So if you're doing proper rotation, pretty much all the people in the team know what things are going about. So pull requests, now I just create a pull request and hit the merge button. That's it. And then finally, the clarify step, which helps us dealing with Jira, essentially. So just going over the scope, discussing the scope, two people discussing the scope, comes up with better solutions, reviewing the acceptance criteria, or figure out with someone how you're going to demo things, and sharing, and of course, knowledge sharing. Okay, so of course, today we have to talk about AI. So we actually let me just go off for a second. So we're not really pairing. It's sort of a mob, okay? So there's actually 4 developers working because every pair has their own co-pilot, and we use it all the time, all right? So what I'm talking about now is about the technology radar. So the technology radar is this book. Well, it's sort of an analysis that's published by ThoughtWorks every 6 months, if I remember correctly. And you will see a series of platforms, techniques, tools, and language and frameworks which you will have to hold, assess, trial, all of that. So it's sort of a guidance for decision makers about what to do in technology. So there was a lot of AI-related stuff in the latest technology radar, which was published, I think, like 2 days ago. And there's this one, which is number 20. So number 20 is, where are you? Techniques on hold, all right? And what is number 20 about? So it's actually replacing pair programming with AI, okay? So ThoughtWorks, we are AI code first, okay? So we develop with AI all the time, and this particular thing is replacing. Okay? So we're not saying we don't use AI, it's just the concept of replacing pairing and the relying strictly in AI, okay? So in ThoughtWorks, we believe that they help with a lot of things. So this is long, but we're still far from getting the same results that we've seen in terms of collaboration, continuous integration, reducing work in progress, and so on. Okay, so it's just going to work, all right? Pretty simple. No, it's not going to work. Okay, there's going to be friction. We're not in that situation. The book you mentioned, there's friction when you have people involved. So there will be friction because, you know, different skill sets, sitting with someone a lot of time. So when people are relating, there's always friction. So assume there's going to be friction. If you're going to implement this in your team, assume there's going to be friction, embrace it, and find for techniques to mitigate it. So embrace the feedback culture, again, in terms of feedback. So we talk a lot about feedback in code, automation, and so on and so forth. But feedback between humans, that's like super important because humans are actually developing the code. Train them in non-violent communication, establish a psychological safe place, and be humble, okay? Be humble when we approach this, and have your team have a sense of purpose. That was all. Thank you very much, and I'm looking for questions.